Hello, 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 world. This is your host of Aim to Purpose Spiritual Empowerment Hour, Louise Hicks, and I'm coming to you with most likely my last comments or perspective on Super Bowl 59's halftime with Kendrick Lamar. And the reason I wanted to share this specific podcast with you is because of this journalist, Rob Schmitt, who said that this was the worst halftime Super Bowl show ever. And of course, he is a white, a white man who all I can say is he has to be a hater. And the reason I say that is because wait until you watch this video. And I'd like to thank all of my subscribers. The I can't appreciate you enough. And I will keep bringing you content on various uh, news around the globe, more probably here in America. And just for your information, Kendrick Lamar's Super Bowl performance, where there was a statement, which is probably why Rob is so angry, was the most watched Super Bowl halftime in history. And statistically speaking, statistics can be skewed, of course, but in this instance, these statistics don't lie because the internet has been lit up ever since the Super Bowl halftime show was aired, Super Bowl 59. And for your information, Kendrick Lamar's Super Bowl stats were 133.5 million viewers, and that surpassed Michael Jackson, who had 133.4 million viewers when he did the Super Bowl halftime in 1993. So, without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and share what Rob from Newsmax, he's a journalist, had to say. So let's get started here because he is really despicable on how he feels and he's letting his true colors show. So here we go. However, you will see what happens.
NFL gave us unquestionably the worst halftime show we have ever seen.
You guys see this news anchor, Rob Schmitt, who said that the Kendrick Lamar Super Bowl halftime show was the worst one ever? Rob, you're aging yourself. What, you don't remember the 1991 Super Bowl halftime show featuring the New Kids on the Block? Oh, baby, you're always on my mind. Now, that was terrible. No, it feels like this is about something else, Rob. What could it be?
A tiny rapper in bell bottoms who 98% of the country has never heard of.
What's the matter with bell bottoms? Lainey Wilson wears bell bottoms. Are you mocking her? And the fact that you've never heard of him, I mean, the Grammy folks have heard of him because he's won 22 of those. The Emmy folks have heard of him because he's won an Emmy too. And in fact, the Pulitzer Prize folks have heard of him because he's won a Pulitzer Prize as well. What have you won, Rob? No, it feels like this is really about something else.
Was allowed to play most of his largely unknown catalog for 20 grueling minutes in front of the entire world.
It was actually just 13 minutes, but maybe you were told there'd be no math. Rob, what are you getting at?
The whole world just sat and wondered why they were watching this. Who is this? Everybody asked.
Maybe the world's greatest tennis player ever, Serena Williams, knew when she danced up there on stage with him. The Grammy people knew when they gave him 7 awards just a week or so ago. No, Rob, this feels like it's about something else.
No matter where you were, nobody had a clue what this was, except maybe 0.5% of the people in this country alone.
I mean, he sold 18 million albums. Several have gone platinum, 5 number ones. And in fact, streams of Not Like Us are up about 430% since the Super Bowl. Rob, what's your real issue?
And for a league so obsessed with diversity as the NFL is, maybe you noticed last night's halftime show was the first ever that we can recall that was fully monochromatic as far as race.
Have you seen some of the halftime shows from Super Bowls past? I mean, they were plenty monochromatic, but there's got to be some reason why you didn't notice back then. You know what, though? I get it. It's 2025. You'd like some representation in your Super Bowl halftime show. It sounds like what you really want is some diversity, equity, and inclusion when it comes to those performances, right?
In true woke fashion, this was done with no apologies whatsoever.
You keep saying woke. I don't think that word means what you think it means, Rob. In fact, the way you keep using it, I think you mean black.
American culture used to not allow such gratuitous racism. Now it applauds it, or at least it did.
So this is Super Bowl 59. Obviously, this was not made for you, Rob. But guess what? There were 58 other halftime shows that were. So maybe, just maybe, you can let the people this was made for enjoy it without having to blow on the loudest dog whistle I've ever heard. But when it's all said and done, Kendrick Lamar had 133 million people tuning in to watch his halftime performance, which is about 1 million for every 1,000 that tuned in to watch your silly little rant the other night. You didn't make a single substantive critique of his message, of the performance, of any of it. No. At the end of the day, the big issue, it seems, Rob, you had a problem with the color of their skin, with the performers on stage, and the fact that they were not like us. Well, not like you.
Did you know that Black Americans make up about 13% of the
Not
population?
like you.
Black or African?
Absolutely. Not like you, Rob. And that was your problem because it was not like you. And that's what you could not stand. Unfortunately, that's your problem because I didn't have a problem with the halftime show. In fact, I loved it. I loved it. And so did, I'm sure, 133.5 million people watching it. Must have been a reason. Nobody invited you to watch. So apparently, you're just a hater. And with that said, I don't need to say anything else because your true colors came out, Rob Schmitt. And as far as I'm concerned, who cares what your thoughts are? Apparently, you wish you had that 133.5 million people watching what you had to say, but apparently they didn't care what you had to say either. And I'm glad this was one of your peers giving you their perspective and critiquing you because his light was definitely shining brighter than your light. And that's what you couldn't deal with. And again, everyone, I'm Louise Hicks, your host of this podcast aimed to Purpose Spiritual Empowerment Hour. Thank you to all of my new supporters. Thank you for watching. And please subscribe, share. Give it a thumbs up. Leave your comments because I'd like to know your take on this racist Rob Schmitt. With that said, always remember, speak up, speak out, and your power lies within you. Let it loose because your destiny is your command. Need I say any more? Because the commentator that gave the perspective said it all. I don't need to say anything else, except I always talk to you about this flipping the script. That scripture in 2 Timothy says so much, which it states, for God has not given us the spirit of fear, but of power, love, and a sound mind. And apparently you are angry because Kendrick Lamar took control of his power and showed some love to our people, Black people who have contributed so much to this country. And as we celebrate Black History Month, I'd like to thank Kendrick Lamar and Serena Williams, SZA, and all of the Black dancers. And let's give definite kudos to Uncle Sam, one of my favorite actors, Samuel L. Jackson. And with that said, much love, Louise Hicks. Subscribe, subscribe, subscribe. And I will see you in the next video. Much love again.